Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. What if the tragedy you thought was an accident turned out to be a calculated crime? The shocking arrest of two suspects in Yu Menglong's death has changed everything, and tonight, their chilling confession will leave you speechless. At first, the death of Yu Menglong was wrapped in the fragile veil of tragedy, spoken of as a sudden and unfortunate accident. Newspapers and broadcasters carried the official line, and fans mourned quietly, their grief sharpened by the shock of losing a young actor and singer who had only just begun to rise to the peak of his career. His passing seemed senseless yet final, but now that narrative has been torn apart. The announcement of two arrests and, more significantly, a confession from one of the suspects has transformed the story from sorrow into suspicion, from mystery into a criminal case that has rattled not only the entertainment industry, but also the millions who admired him. This revelation was more than a procedural update. It was a moment that split public perception in two. On one side is the grief of fans who had accepted the explanation of fate. On the other is the raw shock of betrayal, the chilling awareness that what seemed like misfortune was in fact something designed, orchestrated, and cruelly executed. For weeks, whispers circulated in online forums about broken windows, unexplained footprints, and luxury watches that did not belong to you. These were dismissed as speculation, the kind of rumors that follow every celebrity tragedy. Yet with the suspects in custody, those whispers now ring with the weight of truth. The turning point is not simply the arrests themselves, but what they symbolize. They strip away the illusion that Yu's final night was ordinary. Instead, they cast it as a stage set with hidden players, motives masked by friendship, and tensions unresolved. The confession did not only confirm wrongdoing, it opened the door to questions that cut deeper than any headline. Why was he targeted? Who else may have known? How many more secrets lie buried beneath the surface of that night? For Yu's family, this moment marks the beginning of a battle, rather than the end of mourning. For investigators, it is the chance to uncover every detail and restore the integrity of justice. And for the public, it is the instant where heartbreak turns into determination. The context has shifted irrevocably. No longer the story of a tragic fall, but the chilling reality of a life stolen and a truth that can no longer be ignored. The confession that emerged from one of the arrested suspects did not come as a simple admission of guilt. It was a revelation that reshaped the entire story of Yu Menglong's death, pulling the curtain back on a series of betrayals, coercions, and hidden conflicts that transformed what had once been considered misfortune into deliberate cruelty. When the words left the suspect's mouth, the atmosphere in the interrogation room shifted, and so too did the atmosphere across a nation that had been clinging to the fragile hope that perhaps his death was nothing more than tragic chance. The truth was harsher. It suggested that his final moments were manipulated, calculated, and surrounded by individuals who chose deception over loyalty. For the public, the impact was immediate and piercing. Fans who had once speculated quietly now found their worst fears confirmed, and the confirmation was far more disturbing than they had imagined. To think that a young man admired for his artistry and spirit had been entrapped by motives tied to financial disputes and veiled threats struck at the very heart of trust. The confession carried the weight of betrayal, not only of Yu himself but of everyone who believed in the purity of his friendships and the innocence of the night that ended his life. For investigators, the confession served as both a breakthrough and a burden. It gave them the evidence to move forward decisively, but it also forced them to confront the darker implications of the case. This was not a story of negligence or accident. It was the story of a life taken under the guise of circumstance, a life stolen through careful orchestration. Each detail mentioned by the suspect painted a more sinister picture, raising the stakes for what the investigation must uncover next. The emotional resonance of the confession extended beyond the case itself. It stirred a sense of outrage that rippled through families, fan communities, and social circles who could not reconcile the image of Yu's gentle smile with the malice that surrounded his death. The impact was not confined to the courtroom but echoed across living rooms, vigils, and online spaces where his name became more than a memory. It became a rallying cry for truth. In that sense, the confession was more than testimony. It was a mirror reflecting the depth of corruption and cruelty hidden in plain sight, and a reminder that justice is never passive but must be demanded with persistence and courage. When investigators returned to Yu Menglong's apartment, they were not simply retracing their steps. They were reopening a scene that had been prematurely closed, peeling back layers of neglect and unanswered questions. What they found was not the quiet order of a resolved case, but the haunting chaos of a crime scene waiting to tell its story. The broken window mesh, once brushed aside as incidental damage, suddenly stood out as a symbol of intrusion. It was not the careless tear of an accident but the deliberate mark of interference, a silent witness that had gone unheard for too long. Footprints that did not match Yu's own were another voice in this silent testimony. They spoke of others in the room, of presences that should not have been there, of shadows moving in the same space where Yu had spent his final hours. The blood traces on shattered glass were even more chilling, fragments of pain preserved in physical form, reminders that his end had not been sudden or simple. Each fragment was a piece of a larger picture, one that challenged the original narrative and demanded a new understanding of what happened that night. Then there were the 2 luxury watches, items that should have been emblems of status and success, but instead became symbols of mystery and deceit. Their appearance in Yu's possession could not be explained by coincidence. Were they planted to mislead investigators? Were they trophies of betrayal, carelessly left behind in the rush to conceal the truth? Or were they silent tokens of the conflict that had drawn Yu into danger? The presence of these objects deepened the sense that his death was not only violent but intricately staged. From multiple perspectives, the evidence came alive with new meaning. For forensic experts, it was a roadmap to reconstruction, a way to piece together the movements of that night. For fans, it was heartbreaking confirmation that Yu had not been alone in his final moments but surrounded by deceit. For his family, each discovery added another weight to their grief. Another reminder that the truth they had been told was incomplete, perhaps even deliberately obscured. The revisiting of the evidence turned the case into something far greater than a private tragedy. It became a national puzzle, one where every detail demanded attention, every unanswered question demanded resolution. The scene that once seemed to close Yu's story has now reopened it, transforming his final night into an urgent quest for truth, justice, and accountability. For Yu's parents, the arrests brought relief, but also unbearable sorrow. His father stood tall, yet his voice shook. "We will not rest until the full truth is revealed." His mother, clutching a framed photograph, whispered through tears, "Our child deserves more than silence." Their words echoed across the nation. Families' grief turns into a fight for justice. Fan vigils online and offline solidarity, candles, banners. Across social media, hashtags like #Justice for Yu Menglong trended for days. Fans analyzed every statement, every photograph, every timeline. Communities that once celebrated his music now unite in a movement for truth and accountability. Global audience joins the discussion. A personal tragedy transforms into a collective demand for justice. Now warn. This case could carry the heaviest sentences under Chinese law, decades in prison, or even the death penalty. Yet beyond the courtroom, the story raises bigger questions. How could such deception happen in the heart of the entertainment world? And who else might be involved? Possible more accomplices. Pressure on authorities to ensure full transparency. In tragedy, Yu Menglong's legacy has only grown stronger. His songs, his films, his smile. They now carry a deeper meaning. Fans remember him not just as an entertainer, but as a symbol of resilience, unity, and truth-seeking. His story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, light can emerge. The arrests are not the end. They are only the beginning of a long journey for truth and justice. We will continue to follow every update, every twist, and every revelation in this case. Speech Balloon, what do you think? Will justice truly be served for Yu Menglong? Share your thoughts in the comments. Folded hands, thank you for watching Update X24H. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that matters. Together, let's seek truth, share hope, and honor the voices that must never be silenced.